Hey everybody, welcome. This is my show Lest We Forget. Today we're going to have a look at Bon Jovi. Bon Jovi was from Sayreville, New Jersey, and it's not the shore, but it's on the way to it. John Francis Bon Jovi Jr. was a singer, songwriter, guitarist at the heart of the band that included Dave Bryan on keyboards, Tico Torres on drums, Phil X on guitar, Hugh McDonald on bass, and Richie Sambora on guitar, and he left in 2013. Two albums were released in 1984 and 1985. The single Runaway was a top 40 hit, which is promising. Fame came with the third album, Slippery When Wet, on Mercury in the US and Vertigo worldwide. It was an instant commercial success. Here are the songs. 1, Let It Rock. This is Deep Purple-esque, heavy on B3, Hammond B3, intro. No, not deep lyrics. You're not going to pick up a Bon Jovi album and expect to hear really in-depth lyrics or stories. 2, You Give Love a Bad Name. This was a big radio hit. And 3, Living on a Prayer. This is radio hit number 2. You know, I don't like the tube. You know that tube that, like, Peter Frampton used with his guitar? He would, like, stick it in his mouth and play the guitar, and it would sound like something. And what I'm trying to say is that I don't really care for that. I never have, probably never will. Some of you might like that thing, but God. Hey, you can like whatever you want. Even the tube, and that's what was used on Social Disease. No, sorry, Living on a Prayer. We haven't come to Social Disease yet. You think Social Disease comes after Living on a Prayer? That's pretty interesting. But has anybody ever noticed that John does not have a Jersey accent? 5, Wanted Dead or Alive. This is radio hit number 3, and it's got excellent orchestration. And I'm not usually big praiser of orchestration, but this time works. Did a good job. 6, Raise Your Hands. And now this could have been a single too. 7, Without Love. It's like a par for the course ballad. 8, I Die for You. Notice sometimes John's voice sounds like he's retching. Like, I die for you. Sometimes it's, I can't do it. He does it so much better. That retching, Never Say Goodbye is not very good. It's got a very tired 50s pattern. And 10, Wild in the Streets is also not their best, but it's not awful. There's no really bad songs on this album. And their fourth album, New Jersey, was only half as successful as Slippery When Wet, which sold 20 million copies. And for math-challenged people like me, that means New Jersey sold 10 million copies. With 5 more hit singles, this band was made for 80s radio. And the state of New Jersey was getting publicity for The Sopranos on HBO. And people in the flyover states, that's where I live now, so they thought that there had to be some kind of a connection between The Sopranos and Bon Jovi. There's no connection. between Bon Jovi and the Sopranos. Okay? While there's crime in New Jersey, it's not the mafiosi capital of the United States or the world. It was just a very entertaining HBO show that lasted a long time and used a lot of New Jersey landmarks. And I recognized every last one of them. Back to Bon Jovi. In '92, the album Keep the Faith went double platinum. Then in '94, the single Always became Bon Jovi's longest charting single, pushing the next album, These Days, in '95. But this album was more popular in the UK than the US. Bon Jovi took 6 years off, and they were long years. In 2000, Crush, with the single It's My Life, introduced the band to a new set of fans. Read Girls. Tours after tours that were all extremely successful with Girls. In all, there were 14 studio albums, 5 compilations, and 3 live albums, and over 100 million sold worldwide. There were 2,700 concerts in over 50 countries to more than 34 million fans. Girls. And they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. Really seemed like it all went by so fast, didn't it? Back in the early days, Bon Jovi opened shows for Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. And the single Runaway was not a Bon Jovi band release. There was no band at that time. John recorded the single at his cousin's studio with session musicians. I know you're waiting to see where Bruce Springsteen fits into all of this. Runaway was played at a local radio station. Other stations picked it up, and you know the drill. Actually, Bruce was a little bit further south down in Asbury Park at the Stone Pony. I wonder if Bon Jovi ever played the Stone Pony. Anybody know? John searched for musicians to tour for Runaway. Dave Szabo played lead guitar, but he left to form his own band, Skid Row. Richie Sambora, who had toured with Joe Cocker, was recruited, and Tico Torres had drummed for Chuck Berry. David Bryan gave up studying at Juilliard to join, and Bon Jovi began playing showcases, and were noticed by Derek Schulman, who signed them to Mercury. You remember Derek Schulman. He was the lead singer of Gentle Giant and became an A&R representative, a very successful one. The name Bon Jovi was patterned after Van Halen. After the first album, Bon Jovi was opening for the Scorpions in the US and Kiss in Europe. It's interesting because, Scorpions are from Germany and Kiss is from the United States, so it's kind of like backwards. And of course, Bon Jovi sounds nothing like Van Halen, but it's like the pentameter of the name, ba ba ba. Somehow that's important. So the second album was titled 78,000 Degrees Fahrenheit. Sales were low, but it got them out touring and learning what works and what doesn't. Bon Jovi hired a professional songwriter named Desmond Child as a collaborator. The band moved to Vancouver to record SWW. It took 6 months, but the payoff was immense. When I say SWW, I mean slippery when wet, right? Okay. By that time, they got done and that album was put out, they became an arena band. In '92, the album Keep the Faith was a change in direction. Big drum beats and guitar noodling were out. Serious lyrics were in. Still not really deep, but more serious. When John cut off his hair, it was breaking news on CNN. The album went double platinum on the strength of the singles Bed of Roses and the title track. Another world tour followed. If you are an indie artist, that is, you write your songs and play them on tours around the world, the average income from touring is about $12,000 a year. Yep, that's it. That's the average. You take all the bands that go out and do that. That's the average, right down the middle. Of course, some make no money, and some spend money that they have to repay. So they're figured into this average as well. It's like a bell curve. Signed and seasoned musicians average only about $35,000 a year. That's the big guys, like these guys. $35,000 a year. Probably make more money working at the post office. That's as of 2011, so when you hear about world tours and millions of tickets sold, there is a vast number of people to pay to make it happen. Sure, the top earners are rich, but they are rare. Hey, there are other perks. Bon Jovi is expected to release a new album in 2020. Well, and that should be something. In my opinion, John is the nicest guy in the music business. Charities, benefits, non-partisan causes. Yes, indeed. So here is the discography. 1. Bon Jovi in '84. Runaway is great. She Don't Know Me is good. So's Breakout. 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit in '85. In and Out of Love. Price of Love. Only Lonely. They're all good. This album is more guitar, less Hammond B3. Then 3, The Breakthrough, Slippery When Wet, 1986, and excellent, except for the ballad, which is perfunctory. There's a $10 word for y'all. Then New Jersey went in '88. The next came Keep the Faith in '92, These Days in '95, Crush in the year 2000, Bounce in 2002, Have a Nice Day in 2005. I realize that when you wish somebody to have a nice day, it's just something to say. I mean, there's no way you can make a person have a nice day, especially if they've got other plans. 10, Lost Highway in 2007. 11, The Circle, 2009. 12, What About Now in 2013. It's a good question. What about now? 13, Burning Bridges in 2015. 14, This House Is Not for Sale in 2016. 15, Bon Jovi, yet to come out in 2020. I'm gonna buy it, and so are you. It's been a long time since we heard from John Bon Jovi, and man, he still looks so good, doesn't he? Thanks for being with me on Lest We Forget. And I'll be back shortly with another show. Everybody take good care. Bye now.